And now may the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be ever more acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. Walking out of a grocery store recently, I was carrying my groceries kind of on my hip in a brown paper bag, and I had a kind of flashback to my childhood. It's been years, decades, since I've carried groceries like that. The revolution that was the plastic bag gained dominance slowly. For many years, paper or plastic was a mantra of grocery store clerks. Surely some of you remember that. Paper or plastic? Until gradually plastic became kind of the only real option. Somewhere along the way, perhaps as the paper bags were being kind of falling out of use, we started buying reusable fabric grocery bags. And if we remembered them, then great, but there was always the plastic bags to fall back on. And besides, we collected them to use as garbage bags and kept masses of them under the sink. Does anybody still have some there? Yes. We have changed our minds over the years, more than once, about what kind of bags to use for our groceries. In a Bible study many years ago, we got to talking about environmental concerns, and one of the seniors there remarked about a then current TV commercial showing a runner returning home after a run, drinking from a plastic water bottle, while wading through kind of like waist-high plastic empties in her apartment. Remember when plastic was meant to be our salvation? One senior remarked. It would last forever, was the promise, solve all our problems. And now, well, it's not. We have changed our minds. We still believe that plastic will live forever, give or take. But we no longer believe that that's a good thing. Instead of disposable plastic bottles, we carry our own refillable one. And water fountains are now designed to fill our reusable bottles. Like bringing our bags into stores or our groceries, carrying our groceries old school in brown paper bags, we have changed our minds about what's best for our lives, what's best for the planet. And those changes slowly incarnate themselves in our behavior. I heard a story recently of a college professor who took a student's water bottle at the beginning of class, kept it on the professor's desk. The professor acknowledged that the water bottle belonged to the student while they took a drink. And during the class, while the professor took another swig of water, they once again noted that the water bottle actually belonged to the student. So went the class, with the professor recognizing the student to whom the water bottle belonged every time they took a drink from it. I don't know if the prof ever gave the student back their bottle, but a point was made about a common gap between words and actions. Reconciliation is searching the landfill. So goes one call during this year's National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. The call refers to a situation in Winnipeg where it is thought that the remains of perhaps 3, perhaps more, perhaps no missing Indigenous women may be located. Now, I imagine if it was your daughter or your granddaughter or sister or wife who was missing, and there was a chance that her remains were in that landfill, you'd probably want it searched too. I would, no matter the cost, no matter the risk. Our words matter, of course, our beliefs matter. Our behavior, though, our actions, are what reveal the truth of our words and our beliefs. Our beliefs and our behavior are connected. Changing one changes the other. Words we hear over and over again are not enough in our journey of reconciliation. And in Winnipeg right now, reconciliation means searching the landfill. As we began the Intersections Anti-Racism series last Wednesday, we reviewed its overall goal of participating with God in restoring creation and affirming the dignity of all people. To do so, the process involves both learning information and integrating it into our lives. By encountering our collective past, by locating ourselves as participants in the ongoing story of this place, and by exploring how to respond faithfully to the truths we find together, the goal is transformation. More than accumulating information that stays in our heads, transformation means changing our minds in ways that impact what we do, how we live in the world. Information might be a prerequisite for transformation, but it is not the whole thing. Reconciliation means transformation. In response to controversy and in the midst of conflict today, Jesus holds the door to transformation open. It's Jesus' second day in Jerusalem, according to Matthew's telling, after an eventful celebratory entry into the city yesterday. "Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord," the people cried as they waved their palm branches. Behind the party, though, trouble was brewing. The whole city was in turmoil, the gospel says. And instead of calming people down, Jesus instead went straight to the temple, overturning the tables and driving out the merchants, causing even more disruption. With the children crying, "Hosanna to the Son of David," the authorities plot to quell the disturbance. And so today, day 2 in Jerusalem, the chief priests and elders are ready to confront Jesus. With a clever rhetorical dance, Jesus sidesteps the verbal trap and then turns the tables over again with a parable. It's a simple parable, just 3 characters. A father who asks his 2 sons to go work in the vineyard. One says no, and then later changed his mind and went. The other says yes, then doesn't follow through. Which of the 2 did the will of the Father, Jesus asks? And his opponents correctly answer, the first. Now we should be clear that neither brother is a paragon of virtue here. Both fall short of expectations. Perfect is nowhere to be found in the story. The good news is that perfect is not required, is not the standard. What's required instead is the change of mind that comes with the regret, with remorse and sorrow that follows a bad choice. What's required is the transformative act. And the good news is that it's never too late to change our minds. It's never too late to do the right thing. It's never too late to make a different choice. It's never too late to be transformed. On this weekend of remembering and honoring survivors of residential schools, and throughout this season of reflecting on creation, how is God calling you to change your mind? It's not too late. Changing our minds, changing our hearts is a permanent possibility. For transformation is a permanent invitation from God.